Sophie's debut album, man. This is pretty exciting stuff. I've been looking forward to this one quite a bit. New mic, by the way. New microphone, by the way. But who fucking cares, right? Because we got a new Sophie album, bro. It's called Oil of... wait, what was it? It's like a double entendre, kind of. It's like a word. It's like a play on I love every person inside, I think. And, yeah, so this is an album I was really excited to hear because, I mean, hey, Vroom Vroom EP was pretty fucking great. Loved the product compilation, loved the production she had on Vince Staples' last album too. So yeah, I think Sophie is a really cutting edge, exciting, boundary pushing, and fucking magnificent producer who does a great job at just toying with sound in a completely mind-bending way that just leaves me completely floored quite often, man. It's pretty wild. I really recommend going through her catalog if you have not already. It's pretty fucking warped and fun. Trust me, you're gonna have some fun. There is some catchy stuff in her discography, like fucking Lemonade and shit. Like, yeah, there's some fun stuff going on with Sophie. But yeah, this is the debut official, like, commercial album, you know? I've given this thing about, I want to say, like 7 or 8 listens now. Yeah, this thing definitely surprised me, which I'm happy about, you know? I mean, because, again, like, I mean, you can't really predict 100% what you're gonna get from artists like Sophie, who are just so quick to baffle you at every turn. And by the time I was done with my first listen, yeah, I was really taken back. It was not what I expected, you know? I went in expecting, like, an album full of Faceshoppings, you know? I was just looking for, like, a breakneck, like a Neo-Wax Bloom type of album, you know? Just non-stop adrenaline is what I thought I was going to do. That was foolish, I know. Especially given that one of the singles was It's Okay to Cry, but that's what I thought it was going to be, just, like, constant insanity. And I was quite surprised when we had the middle portion of this album is really patient. Songs like Is It Cold in the Water, Infatuation, and Pretending. These are the 3 most confusing songs on the album because they're completely different to anything I've heard Sophie make in the past. You know, normally she's quick to make really insane, just mind-baffling, just warped shit. It sounds like it's from the year 47,926 and it's somehow in 2018. That's the type of shit I typically expect, but these 3 songs sounded pretty, I guess regular for music standards. I don't know. But for Sophie standards, this is new territory, which is why I think maybe the song is called Is It Cold in the Water. I kind of thought maybe that's like trying, like, stepping into the water, like dipping your toes, like, is it cold, like, you know, entering new territory is kind of what I thought that would mean. I don't know. As a result of this curveball thrown at me on those first few listens, I was really kind of taken aback by it. I wasn't really too sure what to think because I was kind of hoping and expecting it to be just a non-stop craziness. But I got something a little bit more challenging, and which is cool, you know. That was definitely something I was like, okay, there's a lot to take in here. I'm excited to peel away the layers on repeated listens and whatnot. But yeah, one thing I can definitely say for sure is I recommend listening to this album, strictly just based off the fact that it's unlike anything that's come out this year so far. It's one of the most distinguishable and imaginative electronic releases in the past few years. It's really something special. It's definitely going to be an album that promotes discussion, which I think is really exciting. So I would recommend it off the basis of that alone. But in regards to my personal enjoyment, I've been kind of flipping back and forth with this album quite a bit. Where I'm landing right now is, unfortunately, man, I hesitate to really say I love the experience of this album. I think it sounds great. The sound of this thing is often great. There are a few things here and there that are a little bit off, like It's Okay to Cry in particular. Like the vocals on this song are purposely really dry, and there's like very few effects. It's very just vulnerable and intimate, and that's kind of the point given the subject matter of the song, encouraging the act of, you know, confessing and, you know, expressing emotion. And it makes sense for the vocals to be given a more kind of vulnerable context. But musically, just the sound of it is really awkward to me. I think that there could have been like some EQ or something on her voice. And this song generally, I just think the way it is paced and structured is really cheap. Like the climax of the song, the volume just gets like shot up like out of fucking nowhere. And like the minute or minute and a half preceding that like big climax like drop that happens in the second half, it's purposely really like quiet and empty. Like the vocals get drowned out for a brief moment and it just kind of repeats the hook. It's just a bit, there's a decent chunk of just filler before the climax comes in, and it's purposely just empty space so that when the climax comes back in, it feels like a huge thing. And then they accentuate that again by just randomly bringing the volume up like loads when the drop comes in. And it's just jarring and awkward. I already think that this was a very strong intro honestly. I think the tone of the song kind of works for the intro, but the song itself is just a bit of a fucking mess to me. Other songs I'm really struggling to find much enjoyment from. Infatuation is one that I just don't really see much in regards to really unique qualities to this song. There is this like vocal refrain, this little like I wanna know kind of thing that gets repeated so fucking much. Really got on my nerves by the end. But the whole song is ultimately just this one inconclusive build that doesn't really have much of an exciting payoff, and that's kind of the case for Is It Cold in the Water as well. In fact, the song Is It Cold in the Water, it sounds really cool, like the kind of cycling synth arpeggios or whatever it is, sort of peppered throughout the song with the howling vocals. It sounds cool, but like it just feels like a bridge to nowhere. I feel like this song is just like an extended interlude, really. I was hoping maybe Infatuation, like when that song comes in, it would be like what that song was building to. But then Infatuation just ended up being another long build, and I was just like, oh, okay. And then we got Not Okay, which is this interlude, this really crazy, really creative banger interlude that doesn't really get fully developed, which is a bit underwhelming. Like 1 minute 49 seconds, and it sounds fucking sick. Like the vocal sampling on this track is really awesome, but like, yeah, it's just not really fully developed, and it just kind of left me a bit unfulfilled. And then we get Pretending, which is just a full-on ambient song that isn't really all that unique. It's just a solid ambient track. Like Sophie pulls it off well, but I don't really think making these types of songs, Is It Cold in the Water, these like long patient builds, they don't really play to Sophie's strengths much, because I think the Sophie shines best when she's fucking with sound in a really insane way that just warps your brain. And it's just like, this is something really refreshing and exciting. Pretending is like the opposite of that. So making these types of songs, she's not doing a bad job of it. It sounds fine. It just doesn't really cater to what I think makes Sophie stand out in the electronic music scene. Honestly, generally, I think the flow of the album is awful. I think the album would have benefited a lot from just a rearranging of the track list or something. Like, I don't think it flowed really nicely. There are very few transitions that really work. But yeah, the high points on this album are unbelievably fucking high. The songs Pony Boy and Faceshopping, man. These two tracks were two of the singles for the album that I had heard, and I was blown away by them when I heard them as singles. And yeah, they're two fantastic, destructive onslaughts of sonic fucking madness. Pony Boy is just a complete barrage, just a non-stop, the fucking hammering drums on this track. It is absolutely just oppressive in the best way. And then we have Faceshopping, which has such a brilliant, winding, twisted melody to it. The little like, and the fucking laser kick drum. You know that kick drum on Faceshopping that has like a laser sound effect paired up with it? It's fucking crazy. Like the sounds on these two songs are fantastic. And Faceshopping actually has this one really abrupt moment where it becomes really like celestial and gorgeous, and these howling vocals come in. It's kind of random, but yeah, I find it really enjoyable, honestly. The song Immaterial is unbelievably catchy. The lead melody of this song is irresistible. This is the most product sounding song, I think, on the album. And the vocals in this thing are so fucking catchy. The Immaterial, it just has that really playful, just carefree nature to it that I think Sophie pulls off so fucking well. And then we have the final song, which, oh my fuck, when I first heard this song, I could not breathe. The whole time I was just like, what? I was just there like, how does she keep getting weird? like every second something weird was happening. Like 9 minutes of just Sophie insanity. Like I felt like when I first heard the album, I was like, man, there's not really quite as many like bangers like Faceshopping as I was hoping there would be. And it felt like it was all building up to that last song, and that's where like she let it all out, and I was just like, bro, this is what I was waiting for. Like the fucking weirdest part of this song to me though, like I love the very odd groove to it. Fucking weird. It's not like a steady groove. It's quite rigid, but it benefits from that, I think. But the weirdest part has got to be this fucking crazy like pig snort growly fucking voice thing that sounds horrid, but in the best way. There's this voice that's all like it's just like, what the fuck is that? It sounds demonic, and I love it. And the way this track ends off and just builds, and like these fucking awesome soundscapes pop in at the end, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, this track was amazing. This is probably one of my favorite songs of the year so far. Like the highs on this thing are like, what the fuck? But those middle moments that at first, when I first heard them, I was like, oh, okay, this is not what I expected, but I'm gonna stick with it, you know, I'm gonna just continue listening to it. It'll probably grow on me. These tracks are probably like just a few curveballs that will become more rewarding on, you know, subsequent listens. But I just kind of ultimately came to the conclusion that these tracks don't really have enough weight to them or enough eccentricities to them, for me at least, for them to really stand out. They just felt like they weren't really playing to Sophie's strengths, and they kind of made the flow of the album a little bit too sluggish and awkward for me to really say I loved this thing. Like, I wouldn't really come back to this album front to back. I think the flow is just too off, and I think the pacing is really weak, but I will gladly return to those high points. Pony Boy, Faceshopping, Immaterial, and the last track. Yeah, those moments really showcase why Sophie is such an exciting producer. Like, these are the songs that I personally really enjoy. There are elements of the other songs that I do like, but I feel like ultimately Sophie just didn't do enough to make them really stand out. So I'm gonna go with a 6, a strong 6, because I would give it a 7, but I don't feel comfortable doing that because I really wouldn't come back to this whole thing from beginning to end. Like, I don't see it happening. There are too many issues with the pacing and the flow for me to comfortably say that. But I do like the album. I do think it is definitely worth listening to because it's incredibly different, unique, and imaginative. But as an album experience, it's a little bit too, I don't want to say like half-baked or anything, but I feel like more time could have been spent thinking about those like structure and flow and pacing to really make this a truly fulfilling album for me. So yeah, 6 is I think where I'm feeling overall. I do like it, I do recommend it, but in regards to my personal overall enjoyment, I think 6 is the score for me. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Oil of Every Pearls and yeah, I love it. Wait, fuck. Thank you for watching my review. Tell me what you thought in the comments, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!